Welcome, everybody. This is your boy Rashad Taylor again, and this is another episode of That's Dope. Again, trying to reach out to dope people that are doing dope things, especially from here in the city of Portland and abroad. So I'm happy right now. I got a chance to get my guy, somebody I've known since middle school, and been able to see their growth as a man, as a professional, and I'm really, really honored, man. He's the G League Santa Cruz Warriors assistant coach. Former Kansas Jayhawk, former Harlem Globetrotter, man, Jefferson alumni, former coach at Roosevelt. Really not a whole lot that he hasn't done at this point, and he's known as one of the best scorers the state of Oregon has ever had. It's Mr. Michael Lee. What's happening, fam?
Man, what's going on, Rashad? That's a heck of an introduction.
You don't think it's warranted?
Nah, I don't know. I don't like to answer that. It feels good. It does. It feels good when you say it like that. But I'm happy to be on. I'm glad you think enough of me to want to spend this time. So,
no,
absolutely,
thank you, man. Absolutely, it was really kind of a no-brainer, man. If you're thinking about it, and really, to be honest, everything I said is just stuff that's already on your Wikipedia. I'm not embellishing anything. That's just kind of your resume and everything. That's dope. That it kind of makes you blush a little bit. That it looks like you've done a whole lot, and people consider you like one of the best here, man. Zero after all this time, you graduated like almost 20 years ago. And after all this, people still consider you as one of the best, man. How does that feel?
Man, that's a good question. I guess it feels good, but I honestly, this is my honestly, I don't like to think of, best. I love to talk about who's the best. I would never put myself in that because there's so many guys that came before me that I didn't see that may or may not have the opportunities. And I was just talking about this literally just yesterday with with my AAU coach, Troy Berry, just talking about the timing of what we were able to do with Jeff. I think, being a part of that team and being playing a significant role during that time, I think kind of leads to, the legacy, if you will. But I don't really talk legacy and all that. I was fortunate to play, without Aaron Miles, I can't even talk about what basketball means to me. Because every level of success, literally almost every level of success, Aaron was right there with me. So, Bub was my coach when I got to Jeff, and then, Marshall was my coach. Both of them played a instrumental role. And then to be able to play with Brandon Brooks, who I consider the best. And I say that Aaron Miles is my best friend, but Aaron was special. Brandon was special too. And then you got Antone. I don't want to start naming names because I know I won't name everybody, but it's fun to think about and look back on what we were able to do, at that time.
That was a real special time, and I want to make sure we spend some time to talk a little bit about that time. But more specifically, you just mentioned your man Aaron Miles, former National Player of the Year. I believe still the Big 12's all-time leader in steals, and believes like second in assists or something like that.
Something like that.
That's still staying, or at least he's still up there. But again, one of those guys just considered great. It's weird because for me, whenever I think Michael Lee, I think Aaron Miles, and vice versa. Whenever I think Aaron, I always thought of Michael. Like, you guys were so close to where I think you guys were close with other people, but never as close as you guys were together. Like, explain just how important Aaron was for your development. Vice versa, how important you were to him.
Like I said, I was more of, at that time, coming up, we started playing baseball. Me and Aaron were the youngest for the most part on all our teams. When we started playing baseball, we were two of the youngest, and Aaron had some other cousins that played too, but we were young. And then we went to basketball. We were the youngest, playing with my older brother, Palmer Butler, Eli Ware, some other guys that I can name. Brandon
Great
Branch,
athletes, man.
Man, amazing, special, man. But we were always younger, so me and Aaron just kind of hung out with each other. And we always clicked. And I think the best thing that happened for our friendship was we had the same goal in mind, and it was never really talked about. We just knew we loved the game, and it was easy for us to stay focused, but also have an accountability partner. And that's it. Aaron, like, hey, Mike, you want to go hoop? Yeah, I was just thinking that. Or I'm down at Aaron's house on Holman, and I'm asking his dad to move the car so we could hoop. or I'm going to PCC, and I'm like, hey, Aaron, you want to come up to PCC? So it's very easy. You know, when you think about, you know, friends, you got a lot of friends. Everybody goes in different directions, but Aaron was just one. We just kind of did the same thing, man, and it worked. You know what I mean? It just really, really
Yeah.
worked. And then Aaron was good though. Aaron just had a way of the way he thinks, the way he approaches things. It made it so easy for me to be me. I could kind of be the big, strong, wild at times, but I didn't have to do all the thinking. Aaron did the thinking for everybody. Aaron was great, man. He
Yeah,
was great for that.
he's still to this day, like, and I've only played with Aaron for like a while, but he's the smartest player I've ever played around
Yeah.
at any point, man. He was just an amazing athlete, man. You've matured into a really an accomplished coach, man, and your resume is really
Mm-hmm.
still being built. You know, as we're talking right now, your dad, man, legendary coach here in the city of Portland, man. How
Mm-hmm.
important, or really, how much of a role did your dad and his coaching have to do with really you taking that next step and becoming?
I think my dad played the most vital role for me because of his teaching and philosophy. Like my dad wasn't in the gym. We worked on skill stuff, but I wouldn't call my dad like skill development guy. It wasn't like, all right, Mike, let's do some ball handling. It was like, you want to be in the gym, I got it. I can give you access to that. But he taught me more life lessons about how you approach the game. You know, I learned how to play as a team. I learned how to play. You know what I mean? Like I understand the game from ball and body movement. Uh, we were coached at a very early age. He dumped a lot into us in third and fourth and fifth grade, like a lot of stuff. And that's coming from his background as a high school coach and a college coach. And so he was giving us those concepts. So being put in that environment, I think it all prepared me to ultimately be at Kansas. You know what I mean? But my game, I was fortunate enough to have a good enough shot that I had a decent. I think I was a good shooter.
It
Wasn't
was
a
just an okay shooter, decent
I
shooter.
was I
You're real
made
coy, man.
a few
I
shots.
love it. I love just the fact that you're so like, "Oh, I don't want to give myself too much credit. You can go ahead and give yourself credit."
Nah, I never will, man. I will let the people decide whether I agree with them or not. I'll let them have that conversation. But yeah, that's what my dad did. He just really taught me. It's like, Mike, he would say stuff like, he was very, very competitive, and people don't know that about my father. And he would say, well, some do, but he would say, man, you got to be able to kill a gnat with a sledgehammer. If you're going to play, you're going to play. And he would tell me, Michael, if you hurt, sit down. But if you're not hurt, don't be out here crying and complaining. Do one or the other. If you hurt, sit down. And I would, I learned that from him. Hurt means you can't go.
Yeah.
You can still be, if you hurt, that means you got to sit down. You're not hurt if you're out there running around. So, stuff like that. And he held us accountable. He ran us. That's what he did more than anything else. And I can't talk about him without talking about Mark Miles. They held us accountable.
Shout out to
More
Mr.
important,
Miles. Absolutely.
man, those dudes were like superheroes back then. To me, they held us accountable. Anytime we stepped out of line, they were there to correct us. It didn't matter. I look at what they did with the foundation of Cisco kids. It wasn't no all-star team. We were some talented kids who played other sports together, and we were friends. But when they wanted to add more players, they didn't turn guys away. They just created another team, and everybody got the same teaching. You know what I mean? It wasn't specialized in those. So that's what I appreciate now when I look back. It's like basketball. They gave us life lessons at a real early age.
So, I wouldn't even ask about it, but it's impossible for me not to ask about it now, man. Cisco kids, at a time where
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't a whole lot of AAU teams. There are teams that were AAU. I don't really think AAU was even an acronym at that point. It may or may not have been, but talk about how special it was. Just because it feels like you just kept finding yourself in these really kind of special situations as far as teams.
Yeah.
And Cisco kids
Yeah.
is still a legendary name here in the city of Portland, even though the team looks different now.
Yeah, no, Cisco was Cisco. When I think of Cisco, I think of family. It was just a bunch of parents who all came together to make sure we had what we needed. That was simply it. Like I said, Mark Miles having the vision, and then my dad coming alongside him, and then you got Billy Holt Sr., and then you had, when Andre Goodlow joined the team, you had Cletus supporting and so you had families, you had mothers and fathers collectively working together. You know what I mean? And that was and like those dudes to this day, nobody will understand the connection I have with Eli Ware. You think Michael Lee, Eli Ware, you're like, how does that connect? Man, that's like a brother. Eli would be at the house all the time when we were growing up. Eli, Malik Edwards. I consider these dudes my brothers, man. Palmer, that's family. You know, Brandon Branch was always at the house, or we were always at his house with Gabe and Marcus, and it was just a fun time, and we traveled. You know, they made it real simple for us. They made it real simple, and you know, so Cisco to me was the foundation of family and team. Even Mario Applin, to this day, man, like
Great
Mario,
shooter. My guy.
man, I didn't know Mario for as long as I've known Aaron. You know what I mean? And yeah, so that's like when I think of that, there's family. That was family, and that was at a time like Eli Ware was special. In seventh grade, in my opinion, Eli Ware was the best in the state. No knock on Brandon because Brandon was playing with triple threat. Brandon Brooks and Salim at the time was in six. Eli was special, man. Eli prior to high school was special.
He really was, man. I know he was supposed to
Yeah,
be a part of that 2000 squad, or at least he was for a bit, and then
yeah,
somewhere around there, the wheels kind of fell off. But I can imagine
yeah,
how good that team would have been if he actually played. You guys finished fourth, and man,
yeah,
you probably could have finished
yeah.
possibly even second somewhere around.
Man, yeah. No, for sure. For sure. So I think it was just a perfect time too. You know, the timing and what Portland was at that time. It just all fit. It made it seamless. And now as a grown, I'm 37 now with a family. And that's still one of my fondest memories. Just Cisco kids. You know, Billy Hope, Mike Belcher, Darren Cooper. Darren was on the
D
first team we
Coop,
started in third. D Coop. First team we
yeah.
started in third grade. You know, it was like Ronnie, Sufjan. I'm thinking I'm going way back now.
Man, you
This
think
is
naming
like,
names I haven't heard in maybe since
man,
somewhere around
this
sixth or
is
seventh grade sometime.
this is like 1991. You know what I'm saying? This is yeah, man. The John Tennant came on when we was in middle school. And like I said, Billy Holt. I'm trying to think of all the names. Andre, Antoine. We had fun, man. We had a lot of fun.
So you
So
mentioned family. So it's I have to ask, man. So one of the best athletes that I remember growing up was your brother John Earl, man. That dude
mhm,
do everything. He was almost like a god amongst boys at that point, just considering like how
mhm,
he could throw, how well he could hoop, especially playing baseball. Like he was a savant. Like
mhm.
how important was there, or how much influence was there as far as that? Was there like a sibling rivalry as far as you wanting to be better than him? You hear all these athletes talk about it was my brother, and we had the hardest competitions, and
Uh-huh.
to push me, and we used to fight, man.
Uh-huh.
Could you really credit John for a lot of the toughness that you kind of instilled?
Man, all of it. All of it. My brother was I'll say he was mean, but it wasn't that. He just played to win. And I learned if you play to win, there's really no rules. Man, I've been losing to my bro my whole life. And even now, I'm bigger than I'm tall. Anybody that knows this, I'm taller than my brother and bigger. But he's still like, oh, little bro. Like that
Always little
doesn't
bro.
change. That doesn't change. And so, but nah, John Earl was another one that I consider, you know, gifted. He was one of those kids that for whatever reason, everything clicked early. He was mature. He was supreme confidence, and he was gifted. He could, I mean, he had a strong arm, so he was playing major league baseball and little league. He wasn't like he was fearless. He wasn't scared of anything, and he never got nervous. But then he goes to Jefferson High School. He's a starting quarterback as a freshman. You know, after no, not Derek Bell was there at the time, and I think Derek got hurt, and my brother stepped in. But he was just always able to seize the moment, and he was just so confident. And then as far as our rivalry, he would just beat me. Like I remember one time we would go to 15. I had him down 14-1 at PCC, and he beat me, and I cried. I just cried because I couldn't beat him. He would hit me, punch me, throw me, foul me. Didn't matter. It didn't matter, and it did ignite something in me. I think for my brother though, everything came easy for him. So I think what I was gifted with was drive. Like I felt like I had something to prove. For my brother, it's like, oh, I got this. It's easy. Nothing to prove. I can just do this. And
Yeah,
I was
just
always trying to
naturally
keep up.
gifted. Some dudes are like that, man. and he was just
Yeah, 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 yeah.
um.
Yeah.
So how important was it? You know, your dad obviously being a great coach, your brother really emerged as man a great player. How important was it for you to establish yourself as not
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Lee's son, not John Earl's brother, but as Michael Lee?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm gonna say it was important, but I didn't think about it like that. I always, my whole life, I just wanted to be recognized.
Do you
You
remember the
don't have
moment
to
that
put,
happened?
um,
That you knew that you was
I
like,
mean,
here I am. I'm here. I'm good.
I think honestly, I was playing with Oregon Ice in 8th grade. You know, because prior to that, my whole basketball foundation had really been Cisco. So I was around the same circle, and I went to all the SEI camps. And but it was Oregon Ice in the 8th grade, and I don't know how we got connected with that team. But Aaron was supposed to play too. Aaron ended up getting hurt, and he didn't play. And we ended up going to Texas. We won the whole BCI tournament, and I mean, we were playing teams from Minnesota. I was destroying everybody. I'm in 8th grade, and that's when in my mind I'm like, you know what? I'm uh, I'm pretty good at this because that was the first time I was separate from Cisco, Aaron, my brother, my dad. This was just me. It was like Ryan Zielinski, who was from like Medford, and Bill Swancutt, who ended up playing in the NFL. Uh, Derek, nah, I don't know if Derek was on it. It was a good team made up just of other players in Oregon, but that's when, from a basketball standpoint, I felt like I really started having a lot more confidence in myself. Basketball was my love. I think football was my gift, but I just love basketball.
I'm glad you brought that up because I have a question for you, and it's just called.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to choose one. What's the most talented team you ever played on? Is it your 2000 Jefferson team, your national championship Kansas squad, or your 8th grade Pop Warner Jefferson football team? Most talented. I'm not
man,
saying the best, but I'm saying the most talented.
man, look, I'm going to answer this wrong, but honestly, I almost want to say the Pop Warner team just because in the Pop Warner level, there's not even enough room to showcase all the talent. There's so much untapped. It's like, yeah, such and such is cold, but man, such and such is faster than him. You know, like there's so many do at that Pop Warner level, especially at that time in Portland. You're talking about Northeast Portland. There was talent all over the place.
Oh, everywhere.
So,
Everybody, every team had a dude or a couple dudes on their team that were super.
man, man. So like I think about Pop Warner football. The practices was the hardest. We used to do the what they used to call it, the meat grinder. Man,
Yeah.
dudes was big and fast, and you know we had good coaches too, man. So I would say there was probably more talent there, top to bottom. But you know, to me, Kansas was special. Those Kansas teams, but nothing is going to compare to me to the for than my time at
Oh,
Jefferson.
yeah.
Like
Well,
I'm a demo man through and through. Like ain't nothing. Nobody can talk. If you can't say anything to what about we did from Jefferson High School to be number 3 in the country, regardless of who we was playing against. The impact, when you measure impact, our impact far exceeded what we did on the floor.
oh, by
And
far.
then you look how it came about. Everybody, oh, you guys went and got Antone. Man, I grew up with Antone.
So,
Antone's. Here's the thing that people like when you look at the story. When you start telling the story backwards, Antone's mother was at my father's graduation from college. His mom knows my grandfather. I've never even met my grandfather. So that started like so. People say, "Well, Antone was family. We stayed with Antone all the time, right off of 33rd, and Tone would be at the house too." Brandon lived on what was it, 10th or 11th? I grew up on 8th. Aaron grew up on 7th. John Tennant was with us in middle school. Everybody just came back home.
yeah,
We didn't
that's the
go
kind of the
recruit the
misconception.
nation.
That's the big misconception is that because Anton went to Wilson, everybody thinks that man, you live in the Wilson area. You know what I'm saying? And that
No.
it's like so everybody lived in that neighborhood, which will probably considering gentrification, some of those things here in Portland, that'll never happen again. You know, and that's kind of the special thing I think about your team as somebody who's on the other end, right? Going to Grant and at that time watching you guys walk into the gym at that point, everybody on the teams, the morale was done. The morale was shot, because number one,
Yeah.
I had these like velour suits, like these velour Jordans with the
Uh-huh.
slides and the matching backpack,
Uh-huh.
and instantly you can see everybody on the team kind of go, damn, bro. like that.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it started from there, man. Talk about really how important, and you mentioned him earlier, man. Be remiss if we didn't mention his name. Brandon Brooks, man. Went to Grant,
B.
went to Jefferson first, obviously. Went to Grant, was amazing there.
Mm-hmm.
And then came back
Mm-hmm.
with, it gave you guys like a newfound kind of identity, man. How did he really
Yeah.
change y'all's attitude from one year to the next?
Well, I want to be clear. I don't think he really changed our attitudes. Right? Brandon was there as a freshman. He left. He comes back. I think Brandon, when he was inserted back in, he just gave us something that we didn't have, and he just happened to be, arguably to some, the greatest player to ever play the game out of Portland. Now, I know some will say Terrell and some other guys. I'm not going into that debate. I'm just saying Brandon is top 10 probably on everybody's list, maybe even top 5. And so when he was inserted, Brandon was just a dog. He's just a dog. Like, you went out knowing that you had supreme confidence. I wasn't the most confident player on the team, but I knew I couldn't lose with Brandon out there. So that made me more confident. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what Brandon did. What he did, Brandon was so smart, and he didn't get enough credit for that. Like, everybody talked about, Brandon, and he was, raw, uncut. Brandon was our Iverson. Man, Brandon was the smartest basketball player on the floor every night, and nobody talked about that. Brandon loved to practice. He loved to compete, and sometimes that was overshadowed by, his perception. But man, Brandon loved to win. Brandon loved to win, and he had no fear. If we were going up, whoever we were going up against, if somebody was deemed the man, Brandon. That's my guy. I got him. I got him.
Yeah, he
So
again a supreme confidence, man. Just for the less than a year that we were at Grant together, man. Just kind of watching how he played and what he did and how he prepared. Like it was, again, you talked about your brother, and it was just easy for him. Like it's just one of the things, basketball, ABCD for Brandon. Like it didn't seem like it was ever something that was super super tough. Let me ask you something personally.
Yeah.
Do you have a rival? Like, did you have a dude that when you circled the calendar, whether at college or high school or middle school, when you looked at the calendar or when you knew that you had somebody, was there any name that you like, yep, I can't wait to play against this dude?
Because I got to
It's just
think
good
about it,
competition, or maybe you just gave him buckets every time.
Nah, I don't think so. Nah, because I got to think about it. No, nah, it wasn't that one guy that I was like, you know what, he got the best of me, or I got the best of him, and I got to prove I'm better. It wasn't. I never really thought like that.
Really?
I didn't really get into it.
Was there any one dude that just, man, you just, for whatever reason, I just can't figure it out? Not because he's better, but man, I just can't figure you out.
No, not really. I'll just tell you who was good, man, that I don't think gets enough credit, man. Chris Stevens was amazing. Chris Stevens was a beast.
Shout out to Chris Stevens. Absolutely he was.
Yeah, like you got Chris Stevens, and Chris Rogers, who got he got his respect, but Chris Rogers was amazing. Like there was dudes. I remember at Cleveland at the time, Marvin Noble was another good player. They had Marvin Noble, Mike Schoonmaker.
Michael Schoonmaker.
So like good, you had like Larry DeWeese, who we grew up with, played AAU with. Like there was a ton of good players that I always had, respect for. I can even remember in middle school when Whitaker had their A and B team, and it was Terrence Green, Emmanuel. I think Manny's last name was Gordon. Maybe he had an older brother named Tony Gordon. Cicero, and then they had the Blazers with Tiante and Brandon and Andre Lawrence, like the King Dreamers, Fontaine, John Pete. Like John Pete was a beast.
John Pete was really, really good. John Pete was gold.
Man, like
John Pete was gold. And thinking back, man, there was a time when every school in the PIL had somebody. Like they had a couple. Mentioned a couple of Cleveland. I remember when we were freshmen. The Jeff Schultz from
Jeff Schultz, for sure.
From was it Franklin? Franklin, yeah, from Franklin. Like there was every team had somebody. You coached in the PIL for a bit, man. What do you think has changed? Because really the landscape, it's been pretty much dominated by Jefferson and Grant for the past few years now. But what do you think has changed in the PIL to where there's just not the talent pool that there used to be?
Man, I think one thing that's changed the PIL is Portland itself. Geographically, the talent is not here. The talent is in the East, right? The talent is at East, Gresham. That's my opinion on it. Now I can't go into detail, but I think a lot of people just don't live over here no more. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that has impacted the PIL school some. But I think I think somewhere with the money in the AAU and everybody trying to prove they have the best team, it's sucking up. It's sucking up everything and putting it in one spot. So there's no healthy competition for the best to grow if all the best are together. Once upon a time in Portland, and these are the days where I would say in my childhood, in middle school, SEI was at its peak for me. Once upon a time, if you was good in hoop, you just had to go prove it. Like if you didn't go to SEI, you can't talk about being good. Did you play against Aaron Eatman? Did you play against Jerome Turner? Like them dudes was monsters back in the day. Jere Howard. Jere was nice. And
Yeah.
so now I feel like the difference is a kid can just say, I am good and never step foot in the gym. It's just like I'm
Yeah,
good.
them
And I
days of
play
open
on,
run and stuff like that is over.
and that's what bothers me more than anything else. The culture, at one point in time, the culture to some extent, it manifests the mindset. Now, what is the culture now? It's like, I'm good. You can see me on Facebook, right? You can see me on social media, or, man, I'm so good. I'm just not playing with them dudes over there because I'm better than them dudes.
Yeah,
No, that ain't
it's
how it works. That's how you stay sharp. You go
it's
play.
almost it's almost kind of passe now to even play for your high school team. Like it's really like the high school season is important, yeah, but it seems like kids are really getting discovered from the summer circuit. You know, playing AAU and playing in the winter and or excuse me, in the fall and things like that. So
For
that's
sure.
have always been a problem. And again, that's
And
one of those things that's making things change a little bit. Yeah, I agree.
yeah, and one more thing about that too. I think the specialization in one sport, and I don't. People are going to do what they want to do, but I do think it was a benefit. You know, some of the guys that I'm naming right now, man, them dudes played every sport, and so what that gives you, number one, I think you have to learn how to lose. Right? You could be the best player in basketball. You're not going to be the best player in football, but you still got to learn how to be on a team and be coached and
Yeah,
still, add to winning. But now you're just trying to be the best guy on one sport, and then when you don't like that team, you just go to another team. Then you go to another team. It's like, dude, you ain't even played no games yet. And your shoes is funny. I see youngsters all the time. Like, hey, what you doing? They be like, Mike Lee, I'm hooping, man. Where are your tennis shoes? Where your basketball at? What are you hooping on Instagram? Like, I don't get that. Or dudes that
2K.
post on
What you
Instagram
mean?
like that. I think
We on
that was
2K.
lost. Man, I remember the Salvation Army, Timmy Pittman running the pro-am. And so I got to see Damon go against local dudes who he was probably better than. He didn't say, I'm not playing against them dudes. I seen Terrell in the pro-am at the Salvation Army, or when it was at Portland and the Blazers was playing. Like, I saw this. So as a
Yeah.
kid, it's easy to think I'm going to be like one of these dudes. I saw DeLon, I think his name was DeLon Phoenix. He was at PCC, I think, and everybody was talking about he had some buzz. I was at those games. I saw it in Donald Dixon teams. I saw Ox when he first came out here from New York, and other dudes like Shorty and Duffy, dudes my dad brought out here from Connecticut. Like, I seen these dudes. And so as a kid, I was trying to emulate that. So my point is, what pictures in front of kids now that they're trying to emulate? Who are the guys? You don't see them because nobody plays unless you're going to Salem or Vegas.
Yeah, no, there's no open run. I remember stuff just as simple as midnight basketball at the Salvation Army. That was
Mm,
Friday nights, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and stuff like that, and just people be able to hoop. Those things don't really happen anymore, and it's unfortunate because I think it's really kind of killed the competition overall. I know you got to get out of here, man. So here in a bit,
mm-mm.
got
You
another
good, though.
questions for you, but
Yeah.
so KU, man, most people only dream of being able to go
Mm-hmm.
to a Division I college, especially one at the caliber of Kansas. Like, how did that come about, man? Because the rumor was you was about to go play football at Oregon State, and then you
Mm-hmm.
were going to Kansas. That was
Yeah, I was okay. Yeah, no, I was never gonna play football. I just had no desire. I had no desire to. It's not that I didn't like it, but I just love basketball that much. And I was getting recruited by Nevada Reno at the time. Trent Johnson was the coach. Oregon State at the time, they wanted a package deal with me and Aaron. And then Ernie Kent was at Oregon. And again, they wanted to do another package deal, right? But Oregon, at the time, I felt like they thought I wasn't good enough. Ernie Kent did a home visit with me and Aaron at Aaron's house to do a package deal. I didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't feel like there was serious interest in me. And at the time, like I said, they didn't think I remember Ernie saying something about red shirting.
So why the
And
package
that
deal? So why you and Aaron? Like,
well, I think at the time maybe it was assumed that to get Aaron, you kind of had to take both of us because a lot of times coaches just don't know. So they're looking for whatever angle they can. It probably was an assumption that if we want, or no, I take that back. Maybe they just wanted both of us. Ernie just saw me not playing right away. And
mm-hmm.
in all respect, no disrespect to Coach Kent. That was his. That's how he viewed it. But immediately I didn't want to go to Oregon, and I didn't like how they did the home visit. Trent Johnson at Nevada Reno, he came and did a home visit, and this is right after Terrence Green was going into his senior year or something. I can't remember, but I think Terrence was on his way out or still there. And he talked a little bit about Terrence's success, and I remember Trent Johnson just scared me. He came off very militant, and he came off very serious. And I'm just like, man, I don't know if I can play for this dude. He just kept on saying it's not going to be easy. And so I remember
Not
thinking
what
to
a high
myself,
school kid wants to hear when you're 17, right?
No.
Hear that right now.
And I remember thinking like, there's no way I'm going there because I just didn't feel comfortable. So Oregon State, they wanted a package deal, but it was kind of like we were still getting recruited separately, right? And they're recruiting me. They're recruiting another kid out of California. And I remember the call I got to say, hey, Mike, we're not recruiting you no more. I'm like, oh, shoot, for real? They was like, yeah, well, you didn't accept the offer, and we just signed J.S. Nash. J.S. Nash was out of California. Big, 6'4", lefty, strong. So that's what they signed. So right then, Oregon State just stopped recruiting me. And so I didn't have nothing. I get a call from Kansas, and literally they offered me over the phone. And I remember Coach Williams saying, Michael, we haven't recruited you heavy. I know you know us because we followed Aaron everywhere. And what happened with that was they wanted Daniel Ewing. Daniel Ewing ended up going to Duke. They wanted Aaron and Daniel. They didn't get Daniel. And this was what was told to me. Michael, we wanted Daniel. We didn't get him. We've watched you play. We feel like you're good enough. Do you want to come to Kansas? At that time, I didn't even have nothing. I committed over the phone. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like I was done over the phone. Never
That was
saw
easy,
Kansas.
yeah.
To be honest, I didn't even know the history of Kansas. I wasn't really watching it like that. I just knew it was a good program. And see, I remember at that time some people thought, oh, Mike went to Kansas because Aaron did. Aaron was going to go to Arizona. He went on a visit by himself, loved it. I remember him coming home talking about it. Gilbert Arenas was his host, and Lute Olson. That was Point Guard University at the time. You got a hometown hero like Damon.
Mike Bibby,
So
all
Aaron,
those guys, a long list,
man, Jason Gardner. So at that time, Aaron was really leaning towards Zona. I committed to Kansas first. That had me and Aaron did talk about that. It's like, man, I got to do this because this is my offer right here. So I was going to Kansas with or without Aaron, but my decision did have some influence on Aaron. But the reality of it is, if Kansas is not recruiting Aaron, they're not even looking at me. You know what I mean? When you put it in, so that's how it happened, and I committed over the phone.
That's dope.
And
That's
man.
crazy because, like I said, the rumor was, man, Mike is about to go play football at Oregon State. So, so you get to KU, man. Obviously, phenomenal run in your 4 years there. Opportunity to play the national championship game. Final couple Final Four appearances with 2 or 3. Two Final Four appearances in between. Man, you told me some amazing stories. Obviously, we ain't gonna be able to share a lot of those here, but just man, which players, man, from that KU squad, man, were the best? Like we look at those guys. You look at guys like Drew Gooden, you know what I'm saying, who was a huge part of that team. My favorite player from that team, sans my friends, was obviously Kirk Heinrich. Just talk about. You said Heinrich was really one of those guys that really helped you. And on the KU,
he was the best. I thought Kurt was the best. That doesn't mean he was the most talented. Like I'm not saying that, but Kurt was it for me. Being able to watch him compete against him every day. And I got to see, like, he was literally the guy that would stay in school all summer. He was literally the guy that would win every sprint, win every competition in the weight room, on the court. And so you see that. So now you're like, okay, this dude is on another level. But then I watched him go out there, and he went at Juan Dixon. He went at Capono and Casey Jacobson and I'm trying to think of what's his name, D Wade's. You name him, he went at everybody, and he beat him. He beat him.
Yeah.
Like, so Kurt being able to see that, and like, I just really thought Kurt was the best because he was tough. He was very, very tough. Kurt is a fighter. He's scrappy. Got a real short temper and hates to lose. But he hated to lose so much that I saw how hard he worked on the other end, and that's what makes him the best to me. Now, Drew was talented. Drew was extremely talented, just gifted, just body, athleticism, length. He was a funny teammate. Everybody liked to be around him. But Kurt had that edge. And then it was like, Nick Collison was special too. Nick, to me, was like the best teammate. He would always come and say, "Hey, Mike, it's gonna be all right, man. Just stay positive." Like, Nick was always that guy. Like, always just positive, positive, positive. Never get rattled. I couldn't have asked for two better leaders going into Kansas because I learned how to do it. You know what I'm saying? I saw it, and I tried to emulate that. Now, the difference was I wasn't 6'10" like Nick, and I couldn't do what Kurt did on the basketball court. But the approach, I did try to take a lot from them, and Drew as well, and everybody else. But Kurt was the best.
That's crazy, man. Like, it's nuts. Like, as I remember watching, from my dorm rooms at Western Oregon, watching my friends play in the Final Four and watching them play in the national championship. I had a whole party over in my room, you know what I'm saying, the night that you guys played in the national title game, which was huge for us. Obviously, the one shiny moment happens every year, with the exception of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
That part. There's obviously the block at the end of the game that happened, Hakeem Warwick, which still came out of nowhere. Did you see him?
Yeah, I saw him, buddy. Did I? Yeah, I saw him. I just
because he wasn't he was nowhere in the frame or anything, and then all of a sudden, there it was. Just if you could for a second, just indulge me, man. Take me back to like that moment. You know what I'm saying? Corner three to everybody in Portland knows you lived in Oregon. That's going in. Like, that's a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we all know that. Just kind of take me back to overall, like, kind of what you're thinking as you get that ball.
I'm gonna be honest, it's funny. I'm so retarded. Like, as the game was going, because we got down by maybe 17 at one point in the second half, right? It wasn't going the way everybody expected. But when we started to make our run, in my mind, I'm like, okay, it's shifting. There's a shift. Like, I was very aware basketball is a game of runs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I knew we were going to make a run. It was just a matter of when. So as we started making it, we started coming back, and it go from 17 to 13 to 11 to 15 to 9. I'm like, okay, it's going to happen. So this is how I'm thinking in my head, literally. I'm going to give Roy Williams his first championship in New Orleans in the Dome, just like Michael did for Dean Smith in the same place. Like, I thought, like, I'm literally in the game thinking fate is going to play itself out. I'm thinking that the whole time, and then, fast forward to that shot. The play was called for Kurt, and I don't know who drifted over, but like two guys ran over to get him, and I literally told myself, I said, it's about to happen. I knew the ball was coming. I was wide open. So right before it came, I checked. I looked, and I saw Warwick under the rim, and I'm thinking, if this ball comes, all I got to do is take my deep breath, go into my routine. I didn't even think about it. I just knew.
That is what we're all thinking.
And so, man, it's sure enough, Kurt jumps in the air, throws me the ball. I glance out the corner of my eyes. I see Warwick, and I catch it. It's going to be good money. It has to be. It has to be, right? But if you go back to the tape, I don't know if people noticed this. I didn't know I got blocked because I never looked at him. If you watch me, he blocked it, and I'm looking in the air because I couldn't find the ball. I'm looking for it at the rim, and it wasn't there. And 50,000 fans is like, oh. And then I look up, and I'm like, damn, he blocked it. I didn't know he blocked it because I didn't look at him. And then I'm just in my head, I'm like, I'm trying not to think failure, but I'm already thinking, okay, it's 1 point whatever seconds. I'm like, I lost it. I lost the game. It's my fault. That's all I could think about. And it's funny, earlier that year, we were playing at Colorado, and this is something else I was thinking. Earlier that year, we were playing at Colorado. We got down at Colorado. I get subbed into the game late, make 2 free throws off the bench. I think I put us like within 1 point or whatever. Same situation. We need to score to win. They call to play for Kurt. Kurt throws me the ball from 18 feet in the corner, and I miss. And I miss, and it was a gimme shot. I make it in my sleep. End of the year, call to play for Kurt, throw it to me. And I think about that. What I do take pride in is that Kurt Heinrich, who I'm saying the best and maybe the most significant part of that team, trusted me to throw me the ball in a national championship game. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing I take away from that. Other than that, I want to hide my face because that's what I've been thinking. Like, you bozo. You would be the guy that let Warwick block. I could have shot fake, got it off quicker, sidestepped, but I got blocked. I didn't even give it a chance to get to the rim.
I can remember at that time, man, like, you have no idea, because you guys weren't here, obviously, how sad the city was, man. Like, again, if you've ever seen you play, if anybody's ever seen you or Aaron play, you know that shot was going in. And it was just one of those things, like, collectively, it wasn't you that got blocked. It felt like the city of Portland got, because we were ready to celebrate. We knew that you guys were going to win that game and everything. And, we felt for you, felt for the team, because, we knew how hard that you, and specifically you and Aaron, worked to get to the position and get to that point. So obviously had to be really disappointing. What's the biggest thing you learned from that moment, though, moving forward?
The biggest thing I've learned, that's a great question, man. I think, I guess what I learned from that is like, you only have these moments. You only have the moment. That's it. That's all. All I have is that moment that I can never get back. And so going forward, it gives you a greater appreciation for moments, just in general. So now it's like, I'm going into my junior year the following year, and I remember getting interviewed by Andy Katz. But that whole summer, I'm like, my moment gonna come again. It's just gonna come again. But this time, I'm gonna be ready for my moment. And so it's like, it's just, man, I had my moment. I had it. We were on the biggest stage, but the other thing is, I think to some extent, some things are just not meant to be, and that's okay. Because I hid, man. I was hurting. And that's what people, I couldn't talk about this when it happened. Like, immediately after it happened, for months, I ain't talked to nobody. I didn't go to class. And, and for a while, I couldn't joke about it. I never even watched the game. Because I literally felt like I lost that game. You know what I mean? So, I don't think people understood that, and they weren't supposed to, because I wasn't telling nobody. But that, man, I was hurt. I was hurting. I remember, they in the tournament, they have these big tables in the locker room, and they put these big, I don't know, like table mats or drapes around the table. I sat under the table. Like, the table was so high and the drape was so low, or whatever you want to call it. You couldn't see me. I was just sitting under the table. I didn't want to talk to nobody.
How long did it take you to really process that and really kind of move forward? I mean, because I know professionally and stuff like that, that can be something that's tough for people to get over, especially a place where the fans are as, man, crazy as they are, in at KU. Like, how long did it take you to fully process?
Man, it really took some years, to be honest. Like, by the next season, I was okay, but it's like one of the things, anytime that moment popped back in your head, it's just like, I literally, I would feel my heart beating fast again, because I was, I felt like I failed, man. That was, I'm gonna say it was one of the hardest times of my life. It wasn't no life or death situation, but I was struggling. I was struggling. But like I said, going forward, I think I'm stronger because of it. You only got your moments. Now I can talk about it and laugh all day with you. You know what I mean?
Most people would only dream to be even in a situation, to be in a game, in a national championship game, let alone a college basketball game, to be able to be in that position. Like, so I know you might look at that as failure at that moment, but, man, there were so many of us that knew that, man, that's what hard work, kind of looks like, is to be able to get to that point and for your school, man. So, Mike, I gotta tell you, you're an incredible dude, man. You have been since we were since we were real young. As a friend, as somebody who's known you forever, man, got to tell you, I'm incredibly proud of you, incredibly proud of the work that you've done, and really what you're doing with the Santa Cruz Warriors, man, and you and Aaron. It makes a lot of people in Portland feel real good that people from the town are out there, man, doing what they love, and it's really making a big difference. I do want to ask you this before we go. Always think that, man, I could play in the NBA. I can play in the whatever. Explain the level of athlete that it really takes to play on the next level. Like, there's some guys that are really phenomenal in college, and then they get to the next level and they kind of fizzle. You know what I mean? Not because they're not good, because everybody in the league is amazing.
It's really a league of extraordinary gentlemen. I think that was a movie.
Yeah.
Like, it really, these dudes are so amazingly talented, and it's something you can't appreciate. I couldn't appreciate it until I saw it firsthand. Till I went to my first training camp in Golden State, and I'm standing by the court and I'm watching them scrimmage, and I'm like, oh, this is a different level. Because a lot of the times you see these young kids and you be like, oh, he's a pro. I'll be like, y'all, no, you guys haven't seen pro. Man, he moved like Chris Paul. There's just a difference that really can't be explained until you see it. And so what you're dealing with at the pro level, to some extent, you're dealing with the most highly motivated athletes to play basketball, right? That's why you got, you always hear those stories about, well, such and such was better than such and such. Well, such and such might not have made it because he just wasn't motivated the same way. Yeah. So you're dealing with the most highly motivated athletes. Like, and I'll just speak firsthand from what I interpret from Steph Curry. Think about that. He might be the greatest shooter to ever play the game. How motivated do you have to be to sustain that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's the motivation factor. And I'm not going to say every guy's like that motivated, but if they're not, they're amazingly talented. Like, you just don't, KD, who is, I would say he is motivated to be the best. But let's just take motivation out of it. Man, the dude is 6'11", and he's a guard. Never seen nobody at 6. That's like Wilt Chamberlain pulling it off the rim.
No, the closest thing we've seen is Magic Johnson, and he couldn't shoot anything like KD could shoot. Nowhere near that.
KD is unguardable. He's unguardable because you can't block his shot. And so he gets to his right shoulder, turn around, he gets to that elbow. And I'm like, wow, this is special. But then you see him pull a rebound down. He's pushing the full court, in and out, cross, has he. You don't see that at 6. I'm like, dang, this is crazy. So that's a whole different level, man. And that's what I would keep it to, is like highly motivated, and then the skill level is so superior. These dudes are so good. Even who you would say, like, I'm sure a lot of people watch the game, be like, oh, such and such is weak. You gotta really know why such and such is there. Like, is Fred VanVleet weak? Is Lou Williams weak? Because these are guys who get respect, but they're not considered the best.
No.
But Lou Williams,
I've always said, man, listen, if Ruben Boomche walks into 24-hour fitness and there's open run there, Ruben Boomche is the best player in the gym. There's no question about it. Like, the dude that people consider the worst player on the team is that guy.
Sure.
Their high school is that guy. College. Like, seriously, probably all types of records and everything. So yeah, the very best players are in the NBA, and right now we got some of the very best guys from Portland that are coaching with the G League and with the NBA. And again, we couldn't be prouder of you, Mike, man. Thank you so much for taking the time, man, sit with me and chat with me for a bit, bro. I really appreciate
for
you to do that during this quarantine, man. What you doing to keep yourself, occupied?
Man, nothing. My kids keeping me occupied. My kids and my wife. I'm actually, I'm working out. I'm working out more than I have, like, since college. Like, I'm really just trying to exercise, keep my mind clear. Pray, meditate, eat good. Just, but outside of that, it's like I don't watch TV. I never watch TV. I read and write, and I do a lot of. I'm scouting for the Warriors right now. So in my third year, I'm a scout for Golden State. So I'm doing draft prep for the Warriors.
Wow.
So that's fun.
Well, hopefully
that's keeping me busy too.
Well, hopefully after the draft, man, we can check back in and, man, talk about some of the moves that you guys made and everything like that, bro. So I appreciate you, Mike, man. Keep doing what you're doing. And as always, man, we're real proud of you here in the town, bro.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Rashad. I appreciate you, man.
My man.
All right. All right. Peace.
Man, this is what we do. Try to make sure we talk to people that are doing dope stuff. And I'm going to continue to do that. So, Rashad Taylor, that's dope. Peace.